The night was silent as Kaito carried Vex's lifeless body through the dark, winding forest path. Her soul was trapped right there, bound by the dying curse that the evil Zereth Ghoul had left behind. Kaito whispered a desperate promise to keep her safe until he could finally find a way to break the hold. Deep in the jagged mountain cliffs stood an ancient torii gate carved entirely from shimmering black obsidian. The monolithic pillars of this forgotten doorway pulsed violently with an eerie, ghostly blue fire all around. This was the legendary Spirit Gate, the single threshold between the world of the living and the realm of lost souls. The very air began to tremble as the silent, spectral form of the lunar shade materialized right beside him. Kaito gently placed Vex's body under the gate and slowly drew the gleaming silver of his ancestral katana. A sudden flash of intense moonlight cracked the solid earth, and the gate roared wide open with terrible force. A terrifying vortex of swirling black mist and brilliant white fire expanded outward, pulling everything toward its center. Without any hesitation, Kaito stepped across the threshold and plunged directly into that churning chaos. The entire world twisted violently around him before he finally landed hard upon ground, made of drifting memories. He found himself surrounded by floating pieces of broken temple ruins and strange paths glowing with temporal energy. The sky above was an endless ocean of pure shadow, while agonized spirits wandered the paths, whispering their regrets. The lunar shade transformed completely, becoming fully spectral, much larger, and far more fearsome than before. Kaito firmly whispered his direction to the wolf, commanding it to finally lead him to the soul he sought. The wolf's powerful eyes glowed with piercing light, pointing straight toward a distant burning crimson storm cloud. That raging crimson light marked the location of Vex's lost soul, and something much darker standing right beside it. The ground beneath them violently cracked open as three towering Wraith Guardians rose up from the darkness below. The largest skeletal warrior spoke, warning that living flesh could not simply walk freely in this cursed realm. Kaito tightened his grip on his weapon and immediately challenged them by telling them to try and stop him instead. The monstrous wraiths charged forward with relentless fury, their heavy chains screaming ominously as they cut through the air. Kaito moved with blinding speed, slicing one of the screaming chains and sending a visible shockwave outward. Simultaneously, the lunar shade leaped powerfully, ripping directly through the chest cavity of another monstrous wraith. Ghostly blue and white flames suddenly exploded outward in a wide radius, engulfing the entire chaotic battle scene. The largest and strongest wraith suddenly seized Kaito by the throat, lifting his body easily into the dead air. The terrifying guardian announced that Kaito was too late, as the girl's soul had already been chosen by the powerful Zereth Ghoul. Kaito's eyes suddenly blazed with bright moonlight, and he vowed he would absolutely break the demon's terrible choice. He channeled all his strength into a final upward slash, striking the great wraith's forbidding mask with his blade. A blinding burst of pure white light erupted from the wound, and the remaining guardians instantly collapsed into fine dust. Following the wolf's determined lead deeper into the realm, Kaito finally reached a strange floating island suspended in the void. Intense lightning, crackling fiercely in vivid arcs of burning crimson, illuminated the strange terrain around them. At the very center, Vex was suspended completely in the air, bound tightly by chains made entirely of raging demon flame. Her trapped soul flickered weakly, looking exactly like a tiny candle flame about to be extinguished by the surrounding darkness. Towering directly behind her stood an immense, gigantic shadow, a horrifying fragment of the main demon lord, Zereth Ghoul. The monstrous demon fragment hissed a final, chilling warning that her soul was claimed and Kaito should leave immediately. Kaito simply raised his sword high into the crimson air, his posture showing he would never back down now from this fight. The lunar shade dissolved into Kaito's very being, instantly encasing him in a brilliant armor made of pure silver flame. His eyes blazed pure white as he accessed the forbidden Moonblood mode, a power only the strongest samurai could endure. His voice boomed with the collected power of all the spirits, demanding that the demon immediately release the captured soul. The enraged demon roared its defiance and unleashed a massive, destructive wave of pure, concentrated red energy at Kaito. Kaito moved faster than sight, cutting through the entire destructive wave with a single, perfect, clean stroke of his blade. Kaito charged directly through the dissipating energy, heading straight for the demon's true and vital core. Their two blades met in the air with a deafening clang, creating a shockwave that violently shook the very fabric of reality. The demon's shadowy arm instantly speared the solid ground, exactly where Kaito had stood only a moment before. Kaito utilized the opening, leaping high into the air and spinning with a deadly, precise momentum. The massive demon attempted to crush him completely by summoning a horrible storm of crushing memories and anguished screams. Ignoring the mental assault, Kaito pierced straight through the illusion and the beast's corrupted, shadowy form. His legendary katana now glowed with an impossibly pure, searing white light generated from the celestial moonfire. Kaito unleashed the full devastating power of his ultimate technique, the Spirit Shattering Cut. He drove the moonfire blade deep into the demon's core, causing an overwhelming eruption of pure light to explode outward. The oppressive shadows throughout the realm screamed in agony as the crimson chains binding Vex finally shattered into nothing. Vex slowly floated down from the shattered flames, the last vestiges of the dark corruption visibly leaving her peaceful form. Her eyes fluttered open at last, revealing a soft, calm, and perfectly human expression of relief after everything. Kaito moved quickly to catch her falling weight, affirming his promise that she would never face any danger alone again. The entire spirit realm trembled once more as the swirling energy reformed itself into a clear, bright path leading home for them. Together, Kaito and Vex stepped through the newly formed gate of brilliant light, finally returning to the world of the living. But as they crossed the final boundary, Kaito felt a sharp, cold tear rip through a vital part of his own spiritual being. A chilling, disembodied whisper echoed in the void, declaring that Kaito now belonged entirely to the darkness he fought. The cunning demon had successfully marked him, claiming Kaito as the next intended vessel for its horrific return to the world. The devastating war against the darkness was far from finished. It had simply changed its ultimate, terrifying target.